Welcome to the Depressy podcast.
I'm Missy.
And I'm Allie.
And we're sisters
in the mental health field.
Talking about all things stressy
and depressy.
I feel like we're so used to doing it like right on top of each other now from the remote recording. Like we're like, welcome to the Depressy podcast. I'm Missy. I feel like it's going to be so tight for people. Disclaimer, as usual, that do not take this as real mental health advice or medical advice. We are just giving you our hot takes and do with that what you will.
We're in training, so don't take this as medical advice and always listen to your own therapists or doctors and stuff.
Okay, you are joining us. This is a very special Depressy segment of episodes. You are joining us. Where are we right now, Allie?
We're in Vermont.
Why are we in Vermont?
For Angelica and Jake's wedding.
Woohoo!
Yes. I'm so excited for this wedding. It's my cousin, well, Missy's cousin too,
yes.
And his soon-to-be wife, his fiance, Angelica. Whenever I tell people though, I'm always like, oh yeah, my cousin, she's getting married. Like,
literally,
I think of them both as my cousins.
Yes.
Obviously, they're not related.
It's just that she is marrying in and has felt like family.
She's been in our family for a long time, and she's amazing, and we love her. We love Jake, too. That's a given. We've grown up with Jake. Jake is awesome. Angelica is awesome. And it's so cool when someone joins your family that you genuinely love so much. Like, I know. That is such a blessing to have, and I feel like we've had a lot of that. I cannot imagine someone joining your family and not liking that.
I know, we've been so lucky in that regard. I think this is a common thing that can happen where people join in where there could be tensions or things like that, and we just have gotten so blessed with the significant others joining our family.
I know. No, truly. I was talking to Dad, I was like, what would you do if I were marrying someone that you like didn't approve of? That was truly awful. Would you like pay for the wedding? He was like, yeah, I would. I was like, really?
Yeah, wow.
He's like,
well,
what?
So then maybe we don't know about Lucas.
True.
We could make that joke because Lucas is amazing. But I feel like we do need to specifically shout out Angelica and Jake because
why?
Angelica is the Depressy photographer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
she's an amazing photographer. This is why I feel that this wedding is going to be amazing because they both work in the wedding industry.
Yes.
Angelica, I feel like more than Jake because Jake does some other like projects outside.
Yeah, I think Jake does a lot of media projects. He's at Media by JF on socials. If you'd like to find out all the different
Angelica
kinds of...
is at Dawn Point Studios.
Yes.
They're both very, very talented. I would use her as my wedding photographer
if she wasn't an invited guest.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's very cool. Yeah. So I feel like because they've both been to so many weddings, I'm like so excited.
I know. I could already tell just so many of the details. I mean, this venue is incredible. Maybe we can like post them on our Depressy story or something so people can get. But yeah, anyway, I feel like Angelica is truly the reason when people are like, oh, wow, your podcast, like, I know it's new, but it looks so professional. I'm like, that is our cousin Angelica.
Well, just the photos. Like, I don't want people to think that.
We are fully videoing
sound quality and everything.
That's all us. That's all the two of us.
Just the photos.
The photos
are her. And she worked with like so little. Like when I say like we had no props, nothing, and she came in and like
she scoured our childhood home for like any place that could be possibly good to photograph. And as you can see, if you've been to our Instagram or website, they are beautiful. So
truly use her if you live in the New Jersey area.
No, she travels.
Or if you're traveling. She will travel too.
Will travel for your wedding. She's in really remote locations too, like a mountain in Colorado or Vermont.
She did all of our engagement photos too. She did an extra engagement session with you. So
I know.
Been very blessed to have Angelica.
She, besides just her amazing talent, adds so much light to our lives.
She's like such a fun person to be around. You can get a photographer that's good at taking photos, but someone who genuinely just is so fun, so kind, so joyful to be around. It's like, you could use her.
I know. Well, that's the thing because if you haven't got married, like I feel like before getting married, you don't really realize that your photographer, obviously you want good photos. That's very important. But another huge thing is your photographer is like with you your entire wedding day. So you basically spend your wedding day with this person. So you want to find someone who's actually enjoyable and kind, good at managing different situations. I feel like, and yeah, we'll stop gushing in a moment, but we just love them both so much. And so we're here in Vermont.
Yeah, it's interesting because I would say they're like some of our most loyal followers.
Yes.
Which is so kind. And
it's so sweet.
Jake asked me, our cousin who's marrying Angelica, he was like, oh, whatever happened with the wedding dresses? Or like the bridesmaid dresses? And I don't remember if I've ever updated the podcast.
I think you should. I don't know if you have.
So if you don't remember, long story short, very long story short, as you've seen, there was some issues where my bridesmaid dresses were ordered pretty much back in January and no one had received them in June. And multiple people I'd been working with no longer worked there. And we were not getting answers on where our bridesmaid dresses were. They basically were ordered and everyone has gotten them except for Missy and Sammy. So, you know, Missy and Sammy's my brother's girlfriend, who were the people who came and originally tried on the dress and ordered them right away back early January. And like the shipping label hasn't even been created.
That is so crazy because I got a receipt like at the time. Like I've checked my we'll have to get to the bottom of this and we will update you. But also the very important thing is that Allie's wedding dress has been confirmed. Right?
Yes.
So
that is coming in September, so which is this month. Woo. So we shall see. Another like weird thing about it, like it has been so long that one of my friends actually moved and we sent them the new address and then she got like an email like, oh, your order's shipping, and like the tracking label like went to her old address, even though we updated and confirmed a new address. So she had to work with FedEx and whatever. Hopefully she's supposed to get it like today.
It's a little bit of a saga, but
I know. I'm like, it's so crazy because I do feel like they're such a great, like, I love the dresses at this company, so I don't want to ever bash them. I'm just like, it has been so annoying.
I know. I think it's probably a bit of a fluke, but it is very frustrating. Anyway, yeah.
Another wedding update. I've almost booked a day of coordinator.
Yes.
That was something that I feel like I wasn't sure if I wanted. And at first I said I didn't want it. And I think part of that is I felt very confident that I could plan everything.
Right.
And that I would be super organized. And I have been. I have like a, you know, I'm pretty much typey for everything except for this wedding for some reason. Well, the reason is I'm like hyper fixating on it. But I have a beautiful spreadsheet of all the vendors, of all the budget, like everything broken down. But I was like, it's probably not needed. But then the more I thought about like the points that were stressing me out about the wedding, it was like staying on timeline, which part of that is out of your control.
That's true.
Like if Lucas and I are doing the first look, I need to trust that the rehearsal is going on for the wedding.
Yeah.
Which at your wedding, even though you had a beautiful outline, it was like the timing got off and like,
yeah, that was sort of like the one. I mean, it ended up totally fine. We didn't really have like a day of coordinator, but we had people sort of coordinating at the venue. But I think because there wasn't like one specific point person, like I didn't have a planner of any sort. That was the one thing that happened, that like the schedule got really rushed at the end before we walked down the aisle, because we were doing our first look and we were under the impression that everyone else would be doing a rehearsal during that time. We get there and like no rehearsal has taken place. We were like, we need to start taking photos. And so basically like we had to do the rehearsal and the photos, and it was like all very rushed. It all got done, but it was like more stressful than it needed to be before we walked down the aisle.
I think that stresses me out. And I felt like there was a lot of small points where it would just be nice to have someone with me ensuring that the things I want are executed. Like, for example, I'm literally just thinking of transporting myself from the hotel where we're getting ready in my dress. I'm like, okay, picturing myself like getting into a car. Like, who is helping me? Because all the bridesmaids and you guys are going to be going to like head somewhere else, like, or head to the venue and like do the rehearsal and stuff. I'm heading for the first look.
Yeah.
So like, who's helping me in and out of the car? Who's the other person making sure everything's at the venue? And it ended up being a very reasonable price, which I say that with like some
wedding glasses.
Like, it's truly with wedding glasses.
Yeah.
Because in the whole scheme of things, this is a very reasonable price. And my standpoint, it was under $2,000, but it included so much. It was like 3 large meetings that we could have, also with like a like hour-long welcome, like, okay, talk about it. She would handle everything with the vendors, working up to the date, I think 12 weeks before. And then the thing that really sealed the deal for me with her was not only that you got 12 hours during the day, which was a lot
That
of
is a
other
lot.
people did like 10 hours, which you think that's not a big difference, but that's the difference between like having someone there as you're getting ready and not.
Yeah,
You know, maybe
totally.
that is a big difference. And then she also has an assistant. That was like, oh my God, I'm going with her. Like, besides the fact that she seemed really great, I got just a good vibe from her. She has an assistant there who's like, so one of them can focus on one task, making sure everything at the venue is going accordingly, making sure guests in the right place or whatever. And then the other person can just focus on me and the couple or like what is most pressing. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. It's like under $2,000 for all of that.
I know.
Is
Which maybe
sounds
sounds crazy if you're not
crazy.
planning a wedding.
But with all of the costs, I was like, oh, it's not as much as I thought because in the New
Yeah.
Yorker especially, I feel like the ones that I was seeing was like at least $10,000.
Yeah. No, I mean, it
So-
can get, and that's why I think we didn't even try to look because we were like, we don't need that. But yeah.
I also feel like every wedding I've been to that has a planner or some kind of coordinator has been like just rude to guests.
Yes.
Have you experienced this?
Yes, I feel like, and maybe, I don't know if, I don't think
Is
they
this
have a plan,
canon?
but I think that like, no, I feel like I've been to multiple weddings where I have run into like the planner or coordinator and they have truly just been rude to me. Like,
Yes.
they've been like, you need to stand over here, or like, don't leave because we're setting up the tables. And I'm like, okay, like, don't yell at me. I have not been to this wedding before. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
No, 100%. But now that I'm the bride, certain people need to be spoken.
Sometimes that's fair.
But not everyone. But I literally am like, I'm gonna give you a list of people that need to be a little more corral. Honestly, mostly like, I hate to say it, just like older family members who might have ideas of their own. For example, there's this one family member who came into like the bridal suite with us. Not the bridal suite, the like bridesmaids like getting ready area.
Okay.
And I was like, why are you here? I felt like I didn't know exactly what the vibes were. I was like, is she supposed to be here? Like, I was like confused. I was like, is this for family? She's just kind of like awkwardly sitting there. And it's like, I'm like, Mom, is she supposed to be here? And my mom was like, get out. But I would not like to have that have to be put on my mom.
Right. To just kind of have it be a little bit more seamless. Like,
Correct.
okay, the
Like,
bridesmaids are getting ready
why?
over here. Let's let them have their moment. And then
Yeah.
other people,
Why did this person who's like tangentially related to us think that it was appropriate to go
just wander on in.
and sit and be like, I'm one of the bridesmaids now.
I know. I feel like we should transition into stressy depressy if we want to get through everything.
This is true.
Okay.
Do you have
We'll
one?
go rapid fire. I'll just go with the following that my siblings have pranked me multiple times while I've been here. And
multiple
multiple times. One of them, Allie kindly saved me from. The first was that basically everyone pranked me that they had a much better hotel room than we did. And I wasn't trying to like do anything about it. I was just like, wow, I feel hurt that like I was given the short end of the stick. And I was so gullible. In fact, like they were literally telling me that their rooms had like a dining room table. And we were like, because Jacob and I are the only people really working remotely while we're here. And so we were like, oh, we would have loved to have that. Like, how did you guys get that? And because our rooms are all the same price. And I was like, I guess they just got like upgraded. I don't know. And I wasn't trying to do anything or switch. But then I just gullibly involved my parents. I was like, guys, did you hear they have like these really nice rooms?
We're like, we have suite.
They have like, wait, we've gone too far. We're involving the older generation now. This is not true.
It was a joke.
And the second one is that, okay, Allie kindly saved us from this one.
At first, we get back into our hotel room. Sammy and Alex come back to me in Lucas's room. And Sammy was like, oh my God, I wanted to set their alarm for 3 a.m., but I didn't. And we were like, oh my God, you should have. But then we were like, no, that's actually mean. And
Like the alarm on the hotel room clock.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe do it for an hour later. Just as a little bit of annoying. Like, you're getting ready for bed. You're, like, getting into bed.
All of a sudden, this alarm's going off.
Well, we came up with this plan because I genuinely did have gifts for you from Paris.
Yes. Allie just went to France.
Yes.
Yes.
So I came back, and Alex stood, like, there, and I stood, like, we were blocking the view of the alarm clock so that Sammy would have time to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, let's go through each flavor of macaroon that I got you. I'm like,
We're literally eating it up. Quite
literally.
Like,
I'm like,
oh my God,
guess.
it's pistachio.
I was like, guess what flavor? You have 3 guesses. She got on the second guess. I was like, guess again. Like,
so anyway, Sammy
going.
sets our alarm, but actually for like 3 a.m. And then
no, it was like 12 a.m.
Okay, we hadn't gone to bed yet. And then we get this call from Allie like 30 minutes later, and she was like, the guilt is eating me alive. You need to turn off the alarm.
Well, what happened was Sammy said the alarm clock in here was actually different than the one she had looked at in our room. So she couldn't figure out
the time.
It was set for like 12:30 something. She couldn't figure out how to change it. She wasn't even sure if it was AM or PM. So
like, we just unplugged it.
Annoying.
But now we're going to try to prank them back.
I said there's an opportunity here for double prank.
We're going to be like, the alarm wouldn't stop going off in the middle of the night. We got no sleep. We are in this battle with the hotel. That's very unlike us, but I feel like we'll try to sell it. Okay, so without further ado, you should do yours really quick.
I think what I'm just going to talk about is I'm like so stressed about residency applications.
Yeah.
I freaking hate this.
When are they due for you again?
Like now o'clock. No, they're doing like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay, so ours are due November 1st. So I'm not quite in the crunch time that you are.
And I can't even talk about it further because I'm going to have panic attack, so.
Okay, all right. Well, quick, stressy, depressy today.
Yes.
We're getting real. We're getting real here on Depressy. Also, I'll just say an anti-stressy depressy. If you're watching this, you may notice. And OG viewers will know that what's so important to me is having my nails done. This is a big, big deal.
Oh, you actually do have very cute nails.
I do have cute nails right now. And people say that money doesn't buy happiness. Like, people are like, oh, you really want something, and then you actually get it, and it's not as good as it feels. This feels every bit as good as I hoped. These lovely little nails. Basically, we're going to Jacob and I just went to a wedding like a few days ago, and now we're going to Jake and Angelica's wedding. And then we're going on a trip to France, which is why you will see multiple videos recorded in Vermont. Long story short, I was like, this is maybe the time where I can get my nails done. And when I say that, I mean, my mom paid for me kindly to get my nails done. So.
I realized that money could buy happiness. I always call that first class, and then people are like, first class? There's like barely any actual first class.
Yeah.
Business class.
Long story short, don't feel too bad for me. I have these lovely nails, and they are really actually doing a lot. They're boosting my mood a lot, which I don't know what that says about me, but it's hitting. Okay,
I have an anti-stressy depressy.
What's your anti-stressy depressy?
You see,
here's buttering me up because
which does
literally before I get on, she's like, your hair looks ugly.
I didn't say that. I didn't want you to wear a hat because I felt like it didn't match the vibes. Like, I feel like I was in like a sweater moment.
I had hat hair, which you may still be able to tell.
So you take what I say and then you spin it to hear like the worst thing that I could have said.
Because you have said the worst thing.
As a teenager, yes. Teenager, yes. But now I genuinely just like, it had nothing to do with how you looked. It was just like, I feel like the hat's not the vibe. And you're like, oh, so you hate me.
That's basically.
And I was like,
I don't know how else to interpret that.
And I was just like, I felt like maybe you should put this behind your ear. And then you got mad at me too. And
then I look like kind of bald, like a slick back bun. Anyway,
it's just New York style. But my anti-stressy depressy is that I just like didn't edit last week's episode. And I was like, oh, Missy, I forgot. And she's like, already done. And I was like, thank you.
Okay, let's actually launch into today's episode.
Topic. I came up with it.
Allie came up with it, which is, how do we explain this?
I would say, should I make myself uncomfortable?
Yes. What, like, basically, like, the benefits, possibly, of sometimes being uncomfortable in certain situations. I'll set the scene for you. You're feeling a little depressy, maybe. You're feeling stressy and depressy. You're thinking to yourself, oh, like, I'm feeling kind of down. I don't want to get out of bed, or I just kind of want to, like, chill in my place all day, watch some TV, go on my phone. Like, yeah, maybe, like, there's some things happening. Like, I could hang out with someone, but I'm kind of burnt out, and I just want to be inside feeling, like, peak comfort. Yes. And obviously sometimes that's completely fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But listeners, what happens if you are just all the time not seeing people, not doing things that are kind of even just like not immediately fun, like seeing your friends, but like productive, like doing your dishes, doing your laundry, taking a shower, even if it's getting pretty bad. Maybe some of us have been there, not brushing our teeth. But this is a common one. This is a common one.
No. This is not to say shame.
We all have our things.
I'm a girl who's leaving the dishes out, like gross. I'm not saying that I'm not good. I am so regimented about hygiene that I cannot even fathom not brushing my teeth, washing my face, doing my whole skincare routine, washing my hair, like everything. Yeah. So that is just not a place that I personally struggle with, but I totally know that is a place that people struggle with. Yes. And I have other places where I feel like, oh shoot, I didn't like do as much laundry as I needed. Like there are definitely places where I'm very far behind.
Here's the thing. When we do these things, then how does that make our mood feel? Better or worse? Worse, right? And then what happens to our thoughts? Because our thoughts, feelings, and actions are all connected. This is like the central tenet of cognitive behavioral therapy. Doesn't sound like rocket science, but we often don't really think about it. And it's kind of magical sometimes how even connecting these things can give us a framework. So we're doing these things, we're feeling badly. What are our thoughts going to be like?
It truly just like further spirals you.
Yeah.
Like, at least
I'm a mess.
I'm lazy. I'm disgusting. I'm
a loner. Yeah. No one wants to hang out with me.
And then for me, a lot of guilt will come up that I haven't done things that I'm supposed to do, or
yes.
And again, all of these things, it's like a spectrum. Like there are times where you truly do need a break.
It's not to say that you can never take a break, but if you get yourself into sort of that spiral of this experience, you're like feeling down, your whole place is a mess because you haven't cleaned it, you haven't talked to your friends in a little bit, you're having these critical thoughts like I'm lazy, I'm a loner, I am disgusting, blah, 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 blah. Are you going to feel more motivated to clean your whole house when all that's going on for you? No. And there's something called the motivation myth, which is this idea that we feel like we have to feel better before we do these things. We're like, oh, I need to feel motivated and feel like I have a lot of energy before I do the dishes. I need to feel like partying or feel good in order to go to my friend's birthday party. I need to feel energetic to like go on a walk, right? What's the problem with this myth?
I don't think you're ever going to feel that way if you don't actually go out and do those things. Or it's going to be very difficult to get to that place if you're feeling down and then you don't do anything. Like you're just rotting away, which I love a rot. But if you continuously just do that, it will just make it harder.
You're not magically going to feel better.
You're like, right? Sometimes you just get worse and worse and worse.
Yes. And so you're waiting and waiting to feel better. And that's just probably never going to happen. The other thing too, is if you stop doing things that either are like just immediately maybe fun, like seeing friends, or even just like give you that long-term sense of productivity, like doing your dishes is not fun, but afterwards, how might you feel?
You feel accomplished.
Yeah.
And there is just this idea that you deserve to live in a clean home. You deserve to have clean hair. You deserve to have an experience of like just living in a clean, nice environment, having clean sheets. So having that experience actually elevates everything around, like your mood and like the fact that you're not feeling so good, so you're not going to do anything, really hinders the ability for you to actually feel better.
Well, that's because if you don't, basically every action, I almost talk about it a lot. I talk about this a lot with patients, actually. And I talk about it like rolling a dice, right? Yes, not every party is going to be great. Sometimes you go to a party and you're like, that actually kind of sucked. Like, I don't feel any better. Maybe the people around me were not as cool as I thought, and they were like making me feel kind of down. But sometimes we go to a party and we're like, actually, that was really nice. I wasn't feeling good, but I saw some people who care about me and my mood is lifted, right? So every action is kind of like rolling a dice. And we're going to get some times where we get like snake eyes or whatever, like we don't hit the jackpot. The more we roll the dice, the more positive experiences we can have in our life. If we are just not rolling the dice ever, like we're just not giving ourselves any opportunities to feel good, right? Like we are not in the game. If we never do things that are going to make us feel good, either in the immediate term or the long term, we rob ourselves of the chance to ever have a positive mood. Like it just takes that possibility fully away.
I think it's interesting because this has just come into play in like a lot of aspects in my life. I think my first like kind of experience of this was when I went through like a bad depressive episode my sophomore year of high school. And my dad would literally come in the room and I did not feel like going for a swim at the pool.
Yeah,
like we were members of the YMCA. I just did swim team and it was done. All I felt like doing, I would literally lay in bed all day. Like it was very difficult. And my dad would come in the room and be like, we're going. Like, get your swimsuit on. Like, I know you feel like crap. I know you hate your body. And so, like, genuinely getting up and doing that, I don't know if I felt so much better, but I felt better. I didn't feel worse, which is what I would feel if I just laid in bed all day. It stopped me from continuing to get worse. It was like, okay, I got out and I did something. It broke a little bit of a cycle of just crashing throughout the day.
Yeah.
But I feel like this principle in general has just come up in my life where I think overall I'm pretty averse to being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Okay, we can get into me, but yeah, you can share your thing.
In my view, and we've talked about this before, the sense of like, quote, willpower. Like is
planning for long term.
Like being like, I'm going to do something that's less, quote, comfortable right now because I'm planning for a long term goal. Like you're able to see past right now. You know, a lot of times I'm like, yes, I want to work out or I want to do something. Like I have these goals, but the idea of like going from my nice, cozy, warm bed or like going out in the rain to go do something is so averse to me that I'm like, I can't do it. But I do find that it is something that you can like practice and build up.
Yes.
You can become better at trusting that you're going to be okay in like mildly uncomfortable situations. I'm not talking about like going walking through fire. I'm talking about like it's drizzling out right now and the walk to the gym is like 15 minutes.
Right.
Am I able to like go from where I am right now on the couch watching TV or playing Sims to do that because I know it's investing in me feeling better? Is it okay to like, even if I'm like feeling anxious and that's the last thing I want to do, like, can I make myself a little bit uncomfortable because I know that it's good for me in the long term?
Yes.
And I do think I've gotten better at that.
Yeah.
Just from, frankly, over and over again, not being proved to me that one, I can be uncomfortable, I will survive. And that I will be better for it, usually. Not always. Sometimes it isn't worth it. But I would say most times it is.
Right.
Again, it's just that rolling the dice.
Yes. Sometimes maybe you walk to the gym in the rain and you're like, oh my gosh, it's closed or something.
That has happened to me.
Right? Like this, of course, these things happen. I think that is where it is a little bit counterintuitive though, that it feels confusing to be like, I'm already feeling shitty. Like, why would I put myself in these uncomfortable situations? The motivation myth says we have to feel better and everything has to be perfect before we actually try the thing. And breaking the motivation myth is basically like, you can do it depressed. Like, you can walk to the gym even if it's raining. And I think the key here, too, is because I talk to patients about this stuff all the time. This is, like, truly a bread and butter topic that I talk about. I hear this idea a lot. Like, a big one is the gym that comes up. People are like, especially in winter, when I'm seeing people in winter in the Northeast, they'll say, yeah, I do like to take walks outside. I do like to go to the gym. But yeah, the gym is a 15-minute walk and it's so cold out. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm not trying to tell you that it's fun somehow to walk to the gym in the cold. Like, no, I hate that too. The idea is also like the counterfactual though. Like, okay, so yeah, those 15 minutes, maybe the 15 minutes there and back, let's say. Those 30 minutes out of your day a few times a week maybe might suck. Right now, things are sucking all the time. Literally right now, you're telling me that your all day, every day is really tough. And you've tried already this idea of just kind of like leaning into anything that feels good in the moment, like staying in bed or not seeing people or just kind of like watching TV, things that feel immediately pleasurable. And that seems like it's not working, right?
Yeah.
Like, what else can we try? Can we try something else that, yes, may mean having a small part of your day? Absolutely not trying to argue. I don't think anyone could really, maybe there are people who love walking to the gym in the cold and the rain. I don't know any of them, but it's all about what's the counterfactual as well.
There's also this idea that you can also set yourself up for success in uncomfortable situations.
Yes.
Like, I think sometimes there's a barrier because, okay, I'm just going to use like doing the dishes. I'm someone who like hates the feeling of like gross food on my hands, wearing gloves. That's a great accommodation for that. Right. How can you plan? Like, how can you actually like have like escape routes that actually make it easier to tackle, and then maybe you don't even need that? Like, I'm just thinking of like, I never leave the house without a sweater.
Yeah.
Like, just in case I'm going to go somewhere that's cold, I don't always need it. Or I always think about like, if I'm going somewhere that I don't want to go, like, is there a way that I can think about, well, if I do need to leave, I can like take an Uber. Or if I do need to leave, I know that Lucas will leave with me. Or if this is uncomfortable, I can step outside. I would say 95% of the time, I don't actually need to use those escape routes.
Yeah.
But planning, how am I going to make myself feel safe?
Yeah.
In uncomfortable situations. And then you kind of prove to yourself that, oh, I didn't even need it. But like, you know, that's on one end, like creating how am I going to make myself feel better?
Yes.
That can mean like bringing a backpack full of like snacks. I'm really scared about being hungry. That's genuinely a fear of mine. I get so hangry. I feel like I'm going to like lose my mind when I'm hungry. So instead of like being like, okay, I'm also worried about making everyone annoyed because I need to go eat immediately. My bag of snacks. Do I always need it? No. But again, just like, I can put myself in uncomfortable situations by planning. Yeah, how can I suit my needs?
I think that's huge. Anticipating what the barriers are and a lot of this really doesn't sound like rocket science. And I'm not trying to say it's some magic wand going to make you feel immediately so much better, but it's all about putting together these little things, as Allie was saying. Sometimes the barriers that we're stating, like, when we don't name them, they feel like these amorphous things that just kind of give us the feeling we don't want to do something. So, well, like, I don't know how long we're going to be out and I might be hungry, so I don't want to go. Before you actually name that, you might just be like, oh, that sounds like too much and I don't want to do it. Thinking, it sounds, again, kind of silly maybe, but just thinking to yourself about like, what actually is stopping me from doing this thing? Is it that there's really something so bad that I don't want to do? Like, I don't know, I'm going to be walking all day and I have an injury and I can't walk right now. Like, sure, maybe that's a reason not to do that activity. But if you're like, oh, I may get hungry while we're out, then you can immediately say, okay, I'll bring a snack with me. The other thing I'll say is start small. When we do this in therapy with people, especially if people are gotten to like into the point where they're like maybe not getting out of bed or not brushing their teeth or things like that, we may literally start with like, I want you to go home, and when you're home, I want you to brush your teeth. Like, that's your only homework. Brush your teeth.
Well, and then there's something that a quote I heard that I think has truly just like, I think it's so important for people to like internalize.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense at first. It's anything that's worth doing is worth doing poorly. You're like, what does that mean? I think that there's sometimes an all or nothing mentality when it comes to, I don't have the energy right now to do a deep clean, or I don't have the energy right now to join my family on vacation, like for a full week, or I don't have the energy to do X, Y, or Z. I can't brush my teeth for 2 minutes. I can't do anything worth doing in your life is worth doing half-assed. Yes. It's worth putting in just a little more effort than you are currently putting in.
Yeah.
So if you're currently at a 0 and it's something worth doing, but you feel like it requires a 10, put in a 1. That might mean you literally take toothpaste on your finger and go like this. That's brushing your teeth is worth doing. So it's worth doing poorly.
Yes.
How can you put yourself in uncomfortable situations that are worth doing and do them poorly because they're worth doing.
100%. Yeah, I actually saw someone on social media saying like, instead of, she was like, oh, like I didn't want to do my dishes because I felt like I had to hand scrub off all the food that had caked on there and then put them in the dishwasher. And her therapist was like, just run the dishwasher twice. Like, why not just, if that's really the thing that's making it so you have no dishes and they're piling up and there's food and it's maybe even like a bug hazard, put them in the dishwasher with the crusted stuff on them and just run the dishwasher multiple times until that crud is off there. It doesn't have to be the perfect way that you feel something quote unquote should be done. Maybe you'll get there, but because that's the thing, right? When you start small and you start doing these things, when you go from like not having your teeth brushed or not having contacted your friends in a bit to literally even just like having better breath in your mouth. Mm-hmm. Like you're like, okay, I did that thing. Then instead of feeling quite as bad, you're feeling maybe a little bit better. I'm not trying to say that's going to magic away all your problems. No, but like a little bit better. Maybe you used to have the thought, I'm gross, I'm disgusting. And now that thought is being disproven a little. You're like, actually, my breath is A-okay now. This cycle that we were talking about before slowly starts to unravel and actually starts to go in the opposite direction, right? Like the more you're showing yourself that you can do, the better you're going to be feeling, right? Because you're just giving yourself more opportunities to feel good. And you're going to have fewer of those critical thoughts, like the I'm lazy, I'm disgusting, I'm gross, right? Like you're just going to be like showing yourself, oh, well, okay, like I can't be that lazy. I did like clean a little bit today, or I did get myself out of bed, right?
It's kind of like exposure therapy.
It is a little bit like exposure. It's not formally like doing some sort of exposure, but you are kind of you're trying to like kind of counter what your mind is predicting about yourself or your life.
Another thing that I have internalized, I don't know where I heard it from, but it's just this idea that as kids, you gain self-esteem by accomplishing a task, and by a kid is going to gain self-esteem in themselves being able to walk, right, by taking their first steps. And that is, imagine a little baby, you've never taken the steps, and all you've ever done is fall when you take a step, and then you finally do it. And now you know that you can continue to do it. But I think about this in adult life, like how can I increase my self-esteem by putting myself in, it's okay to sometimes put yourself in hard situations to show yourself that how capable you are and how smart you are, how strong you are, how whatever you are. That is part of growth. That is part of living, is that you're going to come across obstacles. Now, this goes beyond the gym, right? For example, I feel like I've been thrown into like situations in medical school where it's like you have to do a night shift. Like you have to work nights for a week, and it felt like something I couldn't do. Or you have to go into this patient room, take a full history and a specialty. You're just thrown into these situations where you feel like you know nothing and you're so not capable. And suddenly you're building this self-esteem and this ability through being in these uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's great to be in those uncomfortable situations. And there's a line, we shouldn't be asking students to do surgery,
Right. Like I think there's like an optimal place, right? You don't want to set yourself up for failure. Like if someone said to me tomorrow, you're going to do surgery, that wouldn't be like a show yourself you can do it. That would be actually dangerous and horrible for everyone involved.
And sometimes you do fail. That is an important part. Being in uncomfortable situations and you provide yourself those safety nets, like I was talking about with like brain snacks places. Maybe your safety net for when you go in to take a history is like you have a nice notepad that you're gonna like write everything down in, make sure you write questions that you don't want to forget. Like, how are you gonna set yourself up for success?
Yeah.
But it is important for your self-esteem to show yourself that you can do hard things.
Yes.
Because I think that we forget that. We view ourselves sometimes as fragile, especially if we're dealing with anxiety and depression. Like, we can view ourselves as worthless, as not strong, not capable. I mean, you like see other people putting themselves in situations that you feel like you wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah.
Even for myself with like running, like I literally couldn't run a mile and now I'm training for a half marathon. Something that I feel like when I tell you I felt like I was not capable of it, I can do hard things.
Yeah.
Like showing yourself you can do hard things is so powerful and enables you to just go so much further.
I completely agree. I think that's like my it's a common takeaway when I finish therapy with people and I ask, like, what did you learn about yourself? What do you feel like you gained? That is something that's common, and it's one of my favorite takeaways for people to get, because I think it's just something that it has so much bang for its buck in life in general. I think one way that I often get people there is by doing things like what we're talking about here, by the way, is a segment of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, called behavioral activation. Basically just this idea that you can do things depressed. You can do things even if you don't feel like doing it, and doing those things actually helps you feel better and think better and feel more motivated to do more things, right? It's like very simple yet evidence-based therapy for depression, but actually a lot of different kinds of mental health problems at this point. Behavioral activation, exposure therapy is another one, where a big reason people fear things is they feel like there's this implicit sense, right? Like, I can't handle it. I'm not someone who's capable of handling this situation. And when you go through exposure therapy, you learn a big takeaway for people that I hope they get, and often they do, is this exact thing. I can do hard things. I am someone who can handle, even when things get tough, even when it did suck to do this thing, like, did I come out the other side of it, right? And I think that's just so powerful for life in general, to have that view of yourself.
I think that's another thing that's important, is to view other people as capable. We think that we're protecting other people by viewing them as fragile, as not wanting to hurt them. When I think about, like, some of the best teachers I've had, or some of the best preceptors I had, they weren't scared of putting me in uncomfortable situations. Yeah. They weren't scared of being like, I think that you can go in that room and counsel and go do a full patient visit. Yeah. I remember I was working with a third-year med student who was really scared about holding a baby for the first time and doing the newborn exam. I knew how careful she would be. I felt so confident in her ability, like, just as a person, to, like, I know you'll be okay. Yeah. Like, I know you can do the little hip maneuvers and you're not going to just, like, I felt confident in her. I didn't view her as fragile. I knew I went over with her what she was going to do and sent her out into the world to go do it. And she did it, and she felt so happy with herself. I think that we take away people's self-esteem and ability to grow if we view others as fragile as well.
I love that. I completely agree. In terms of some of the best teachers and mentors I had have been ones who've pushed me just the right amount, and it is super uncomfortable and scary, but they believe in me. That's something I try to do when I teach as well, as part of my PhD. And I often am teaching subjects that people really don't want to, like, I teach statistics, and it's the least favorite course of many psychology majors. I do get students who often have failed the class before, and then they come to me, and that's something I try to instill. Like, we're all going to get through this. You're here because you don't know how to do this yet. That's okay. No one knows how to do this yet. I'm not expecting that you do. By the end of this class, you will. And I, obviously I can't speak for my students, but it's something that I try to emulate, at least when I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I even saw, actually, one of my favorite, this is kind of random and maybe niche for people, but, like, parenting psychologist, Dr. Becky Kennedy. I do not have kids yet, but I'm just, like, intellectually interested in some of the stuff she's doing. She was recently talking about this too, that, like, it can feel counterintuitive with kids that we sometimes feel like we need to give them self-esteem by just, like, telling them they're great, or basically, like, keeping them comfortable, like, keeping them showing themselves like, oh, like, nothing's too hard for me. But actually, I forget exactly the term she used. Something like building, like, a confidence bridge for your kid, basically. This idea that, like, you can give your kids so much by, like, giving them the opportunity to struggle through something and get to the other side that isn't, like, way too hard for them, right? Like, you're not going to expect your 5-year-old to be, like, doing algebra, but just, like, little things like solving a difficult puzzle or something like that, you can, like, just believe in them and push them to do those things and, like, build that bridge of, like, I know you can do it. I'm here for you, but I'm not robbing you of this experience to, like, show yourself you can struggle through it and get to the other side.
Yeah. And thinking about this, like, I think it's important to view our patients as capable, as strong, as able. I think as soon as you start not viewing them as that, they view themselves not as that. It's, like, just reinforced. Yeah. And their idea that they could get better, feel better, or even just, like, tackle whatever in front of them, that they have the strength to tackle what's in front of them, the worst diagnoses, the worst everything, that they are able to get through it.
Yeah.
You're going to be there for them.
Yeah.
It's terrible. There's horrible situations, but not to view them as just like so fragile that you can't even talk about what's important to talk about. That you need to dance around subjects because the idea of even like death is something that you shouldn't talk about with them. Patients deserve to know what's going on. Patients are able to hear the truth. Patients deserve to hear the truth. How can you set them up for success? I mean, there's ways to set that conversation up for success. How do you support them? But that as human beings, we're capable of being in extremely uncomfortable situations.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. This is something that I really try to make central to the work that I do with patients, is like building that confidence bridge for them to, and this, I'll share an example that's like not really actually related to depression. I worked in an elementary school, and a lot of the referrals I would get were from basically due to what the school and the teacher was viewing as a behavioral problem. So basically, I would have kids where they would be really provoked in the classroom, get into a fight physically, and then be suspended or be viewed as the problem child. And I remember like one kid in particular was really just like had a belief like, I'm a bad kid. Other kids are capable of doing the better thing and walking away, but like if I am provoked, I am just not capable of that. Like I am bad inside to my core. It was really heartbreaking because getting to meet this kid, I just knew that wasn't true. And there were a lot of really particular things. Like a lot of the kids that I saw had been through really horrible traumas. Unfortunately, because this was kind of common in the community, that was something that like kids would tease each other about. And so of course, if you're being teased about one of the most horrible things that has happened to you, you too might become pretty angry and provoked. You can see how this like his actions led to like other people, adults telling him like, I'm a horrible person, I'm bad. And so he started to feel more down, have these critical thoughts. And of course, he's going to be more likely to act out in those moments, right? And so much of, I think, what I tried to do is really believe, like, I know you are good inside, and I'm going to help show you the person you really are on the inside, basically. And instead of, like, in depression, we might tell people, okay, like, do it depressed. Like, go brush your teeth even if you're depressed. Can you walk away even if you're angry, right? Like, even if you're feeling like fighting, your anger is telling you to fight. What's a different choice you can make? It might be really unreasonable to expect to just not be angry in these times. If another kid is teasing you about a horrible thing you've been through, yeah, anyone would be angry in that moment. I think it would be wizardry to expect that you could just not feel angry, right? Or at least like most of the time not feel angry. And so the idea was like, okay, we're gonna do it angry. We're gonna walk away angry. And the minute he could show himself that, he started to come to that other side of the bridge and be like, whoa, I did not expect that I could do that hard thing, but now I can, right? If you're sitting here and you're like, I can't really relate to the depression thing, but I have these other moments. That's another kind of time where you can show yourself, whoa, I did something I thought I wasn't capable of.
Yeah. You can do things despite the emotions you're feeling.
Yes.
Would be my takeaway. And I'll just leave you with this final thought. And this is this is like my pet peeve, and this is kind of unrelated, but you'll see.
Okay.
Older individuals view themselves as incapable of handling technology. It frustrates me because I truly view them as capable. I think a lot of people give them a lot of grace, and I give them grace, but I didn't pop out of the womb knowing how to use technology. I just had to learn at a younger age, view myself as capable of learning. Yeah. I have no special ability. Like, I don't view myself as better than you because I know technology. I know that you can do it. I'm talking to you if you're watching.
It might, and another thing is just as easy. If you didn't grow up with these things, it may be harder, but
it's more just like a time spent with technology.
Sure.
Like you can learn this stuff. It's one thing if you're losing your mental capabilities. I'm not expecting my grandma with dementia to
of course.
I'm expecting you in your 70s or your 60s though to be able to send an email, download a PDF. I'm not saying I will teach you, but when the answer to I'm going to teach you how to do this is, oh, I'm not good with technology, I can't even do that. I'm like, No, but you're capable. I promise.
There's no magic trait that, I mean, this gets to, we could probably go down a whole rabbit hole of weaponized incompetence.
Yes.
If you've ever heard that term. It comes up a lot, I feel like, intergenerationally at work. If people have bosses who are like, can you just work your Gen Z magic and like make this into a PDF for me? And you're like, that is something that is not in my job description, and it's
to convert the Word document
longer for me to like you to email it to me to do it, to like those kinds of things. It's like what weaponized incompetence is. It's just this idea of like your incompetence of not being willing to learn or like believing in yourself is weaponized so that someone else's time is like now less valuable than your own. It can also come up in like gender roles as well. Not every relationship, but some relationships. It's like, especially in heterosexual relationships, girl and guy, it's like the woman is just so much better at organizing, booking doctor's appointments.
Is she better? Yeah, exactly. Our skills. I think it is important to actually view life skills as skills, not just natural abilities, or not saying that's just like, I view cooking, that is a skill, and people are like, just follow the recipe. I think people view it both ways, where I'm like, oh, they're just not a good cook, and then other people on the other side are like, just follow the recipe, it's so easy. And other people saying like, no, it is a skill, something you have to learn.
Of course it's a skill. And sometimes people are, I think what people mean when they talk about like natural abilities, quote unquote, is more just like some people have more of a natural, they might like cooking. So learning the skill doesn't feel as difficult for them because they're like, oh, this is something I enjoy. Obviously, some people have somewhat of a natural more knack for organization and things like that. But I think throughout a lifetime, you just build these skills. And so I would encourage you, even if you're not in a depressing moment, and you're just realizing to yourself, oh, like my partner is taking on more of this stuff, or at work, I maybe am shying away from this piece, even if it's not making PDFs. Let's say it's something actually way cooler than that. Like I could actually get a little bit into like data science or some new skill that could like improve your job prospects. I don't know. There's so much more that you're capable of than what you think. And sometimes it just takes feeling a little uncomfortable. This is not rocket science, but a lot of times we don't think about it.
Thank you guys so much for watching today. And again, shout out to Angelica and Jake for sponsoring this episode, because we get to be together to film this.
Yes.
Catch you guys next week.